Hello and welcome to Gefet Ep.87. I'm Yael Shimoni, bringing to you together with Hadron and Yeshivat Drisha, learning Iyun in your Daf Yomi Kiyud. And we're in the third parak of Bava Batra, which is a very unique parak. Each sugya here you can really learn for a month. And I want to look at a very famous sugya, the machloket between Rav Huna and Rav Chisda on contradictory testimony. So it's here. It's also in Schwartz, Daf Mem Zayin Amud Bet, and I think it's a machloket that is really very, very interesting. And what we will see is an interesting explanation that will develop in order to understand what Rav Huna really thinks. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we won't be using Rashi and Tosfot because Rashi stopped his commentary already on Daf Chavchet this week. So now we're with Rashbam. We'll be doing Rashbam, Rabbeinu Gershom, and we'll be working with other Rishonim and Achronim elsewhere. As I said, this is a very, very full sugya, and we'll really just have a small taste of what it has to offer. So let's begin. We are in the third parak, and of course, the whole scenery here is a machloket on a land. Land, you've learned already in the beginning of the parak, that has different rules than objects. Objects, somebody holds an object as his. But land is a different story. Even if I'm sitting on land, doesn't mean it's mine. How do we know if somebody owns the land? So either he is a descendant of somebody who already hold the land and everybody knows it belongs to him. That's one option. Another option is that he has paperwork to prove that he bought this land. But if he doesn't have paperwork, if he sat there for 3 years and nobody told him anything and he was actually working in the land and eating its fruit, that's called chazakot shalosh shanim. And if there was no mecha'ah, nobody told him anything, it proves that the land is his. How does it prove exactly? That's the beginning of the parak. We won't get into that, but those are the basics of the sugya. And here we have an interesting situation. We have two people, each of them claiming that the land is his because he inherited the land. Each one of them says, it belongs to my parents. I'm the inheritor, and they're not from the same family. Okay, and each one is contradicting the other. It's classic. Now what happens? How are they proving their side? So one of them brings Eidim that prove that he sat on the land for 3 years and he ate the fruit. So these Eidim are saying two things. First of all, they're saying, indeed, it is his parents. We know that it belonged to his parents, and he was sitting there for 3 years eating the fruit of the land. So the Eidim have two things that they're doing Eidut for. One is that he's really the inheritor because they know the parents and they know that it belonged to his parents. And the other is that he actually sat in the land and ate it for 3 years. The other side also brings Eidim, and his Eidim are saying just one thing. The Eidim of the other side are not saying that it really did belong to the other side's parents. No. They're saying, I don't know. I just know that this man sat here for 3 years and ate the fruit of the land. What do we do in such a situation? Why is this a situation that's problematic? Because the Eidim are contradicting each other. Somebody is lying. How can it be that both Reuven and Shimon are both sitting in the land and eating the fruit of the land? It's either him or him. So if they're contradicting each other, it sounds as if something here is fishy. Maybe we can't trust any word that comes out from the Eidim at all. So let's look at the machloket. Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman says, okay, let's look at this. It seems like a mathematical solution. Okay, the Eidim said two things, and they were contradicted only on the second one. So the second one is the one that we can't use because there's a contradiction, but we can definitely still use the first statement. What was the first statement? He is the son of the people who were actually the owners of this land. So says Rav Nachman, okay, we can't use the chazakah, but we can still use the edus on avot. Rava can't stand this and says, I'm going to Rava, ha'edut makhesheti. They contradicted each other. It means that something's fishy here. How can you use They're edus. It's not regular edus. It's edut macheshet. They were contradicted. You can't use what they said in the same. They were just contradicted. Answers Rav Nachman to Rava. Amar le neid itkachash be'achilata be'avata nami itkachash. Says Rav Nachman, they were contradicted only on one part of their statement, not on the whole part. When we look at this machloket, it's very interesting, and the Rashbam already helps us to try to understand what is the machloket between Rav Nachman and Rava. And so the Rashbam, אמר רב נחמן, עדות האכילה בטלה, דהו כעדות של אכילה כנגד עדות שנייה של אכילה, והרי מכחישים זה את זה. אבל בעדות דאבתנא לא התכחש עדותן, קיימא ומוקמי בידי. As we explained with Nachman, they were only contradicted in one part of their statement, not on the whole part, and we can still use what was not in dispute. What does Rava think? העדות מכחשת היא, כיוון דהן היבט כיתות מכחישות זו את זו, אחת מהן פסולה לכל עדויות שבעולם, אחרי שאין לברר איזו הפסולה, תבטל עדותן לגמרי. According to Rava, a contradiction means that somebody here is lying. And if we have a liar, we just don't know who he is, we can't use any statement because anything that was said might be coming out of a mouth of a liar. So according to Rav Nachman, the focus is on the statements. And according to Rava, the focus is on the people. Rava says the fact they were contradicted is saying something about them. This is very interesting. Does Rav Nachman disagree with that? Does Rav Nachman think that if somebody was contradicted, it doesn't say anything on the Eidim? Rav Nachman is not choshesh that somebody here is a liar? Let's see what the Gemara does with this. And the Gemara offers the connection to the machloket of Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Lema says the Gemara, Rav Nachman beplugda de Rav Huna Rav Chisda kami palgi de itma. בית קטעי עדים המכחישות זו את זו אמר רב הונא זו באה בפני עצמה ומידע וזו באה בפני עצמה ומידע ורב חיסדא אמר בהדי סהדי שקרי למה לי למה רב נחמן כרב הונא ורבה כרב חיסדא. So the Gemara offers to connect the machlokot, and the machloket of Rav Huna and Rav Nachman is about שני קטעי עדים המכחישות זו את זו. And here the Rashbam helps us to understand a very, very central דין in עדות. Let's read the Rashbam together. המכחישות זו את זו, בעדות אחת, כגון, שניים אומרים פלוני לבא מפלוני מנה, ושניים אומרים הכחישו, ואמרו לא לבא ממנו כלום. שהרי באותו היום שאתם אומרים שלבא ממנו היה עמנו, הלווה כל אותו היום, ולא לבא משוב אדם כלום. בעדות כזאת לא האמינה התורה האחרונים יותר מן הראשונים, אלא בעדות הזמה, כגון שהם מעידים על העדים עצמם, עמנו הייתם במקום פלוני ולא ראיתם שלבא. Rashbam tells us, if you've learned Torah before, you may remember that there is a different din of Eidim Zomemim. And there is a big difference between Eidim Zomemim and Edut Makcheshet. What is the difference? So first of all, says the Rashbam, difference in the din. Eidim Zomemim, the Torah said that you have to believe the second set of Eidim, and they are the ones who make the shots. And in Edut Makcheshet, the Torah didn't say so. And he gives us a way to understand it. It's a little tricky what the Rashbam said. So I want to use an easier example to show you the difference between Edut Zomemim and Edut Makcheshet. Okay, let's go for a murder scene. Reuven is said to have killed Bilha. Two Eidim come to Beit Din and say, Reuven killed Bilha on Sunday afternoon. Okay, they give the date, they give details. And then two other Eidim come and say, listen, we don't know. Maybe Reuven did kill Bilha, but you were not there because you were with us in Shechem all day. We don't know what was the reality there because we were not there. And you cannot tell anyway because you were with us. So Edut Zomemim is when the Eidim, the second Eidim, are not saying anything about the case. They're saying something only about the other Eidim, saying that they're liars because they could not have been there in the first place. And here we have a Gzerat Katuv that we believe the second Eidim. And when we'll go to Masechet Makot, we'll discuss that at length. And it's a big question: is this a Gzerat Katuv or is there a Savara here? We won't go into that right now. What is Edut Makcheshet and what is the difference? Here, Reuven killed Bilha on Sunday afternoon. Okay, these are the first two Eidim. And the other two Eidim are saying, it wasn't Reuven, it was Yosef. Right? They're disagreeing on who it was. Or, according to Rashbam, it wasn't Reuven because Reuven was with us. Right? It wasn't Reuven. We're saying that what you're discussing about details is not true. Okay? Here, there's no Gzerat Katuv. That's a Dut Makcheshet. And according to this, who can you choose? They're only talking about what happened there. And therefore, the Torah didn't tell us to believe the second ones. If the second ones are saying the promise was the Eidim, we believe them. But here, they're not saying that directly. They're talking about the details. They're saying your details are not right. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm just saying something about the reality that took place. Okay, so what are Rav Chisda and Rav Huna arguing about? Rav Chisda and Rav Huna said, and in Dut Makcheshet, since we don't know, because the Torah didn't tell us who to believe, we're stuck, right? But what is exactly the machloket? Let's look at the Rashbam, and he'll help us explain the first part. Okay, so says the Rashbam. זו באה בפני עצמה ומעידה, כשאר עדויות שבעולם, דלא נחזיקנה פסולה מספק, וזו באה בעדות אחרת. אבל אחד מכת זו ואחד מכת זאת, אין מצטרפים לעדות אחת, דהה אחד מהם פסול בוודאי, ואין כאן אלא חצי עדות, וטעם דרב הונא משום דאו כגברא חזקתי, ולא תפסילנו מספק. The Rashbam again adds more information to us and said, look, both of the Chachamim agree, Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, that if you have contradicting edus, you can't use it in this deed. The big question is whether or not these people can serve as Eidim in other cases. According to Rav Huna, they can, only with one exception. If one from one of the two joins another one from the other side, and together they're going to be Eidim, that's not good. Why? Because the situation is that somebody here is lying, we just don't know who. So if it's 2 against 2, we don't know who. But if we take one from here and one from here, we still don't know who's the liar, but we know for sure that one of them is the liar, and we can only have Eidim that 2 of the Eidim are Ksherim. And here we know 100% that one of them is Pasul, and we don't have 2. We have 1. We just don't know which one. And it's only 1 Eid, it's not 2. So they don't have the power of 2 Eidim. That's what Huna thinks. So why can they both go and serve as Eidim in a different deen? Says Rav Huna, explains the Rashbam, Ta'am de Rav Huna, mishum de'u kegavra cheskatei v'lo tifselenu misafek. According to the Rashbam, if I'm an aid, I have cheskat kashrut. We're assuming that I'm fine. If we want to prove I'm not, you have to bring a vadai proof that I am pasul. Here you don't have a vadai psul. It's only a sefek psul, and a sefek is not strong enough to destroy the cheskat kashrut that the Eidim have. According to the Rashbam, this is a din in chazakot. We are assuming something is true till it's proven to be different. And here we don't have enough proof. We can't really prove that you are the one who is lying, and therefore each one of them still remains kasher. I don't know what you think, but I think this explanation, the Rashbam, it's hard to accept in the heart, right? Because we know somebody here is lying, right? He says so. And Rav Chisda is cholek, and Rav Chisda says, according to Rashbam, ועד עשה דשיקרא למה לי ולא ידעו בשום עדות בעולם, דעו כממון החזקתי ולא תוציאנו מספק, שמא עדים פסולים. Says the Rashbam, Rav Chisda agrees with Rav Huna. He doesn't think that maybe it's not enough to destroy the chazaka, but it did, in fact, take the chazaka down. They're not kasher, they're safek pasul. They don't really have chazkat kashrut in a sense that we go back to that chazakah. They became a safek. Now, what does it mean to be a safek? A safek is not strong enough to help us in dinei mamonot. Lo matziim mamon misafek. So, according to the Rashbam, machloket Rav Huna v'Chisda is a machloket in chazakot. It's a machloket in understanding what happened here halachically. Are we returning to the chazakah v'edim, or was that chazakah destroyed? They became a sefek. According to Rav Chisda, they are sefek, and according to Rav Huna, we go back to the original chazakah. Again, with this explanation, I feel that Rav Huna makes more sense than Rav Chisda. It's hard to understand Rav Huna here. And then it's surprising that the Gemara continues and says, we don't think that Rava and Rav Nachman are like Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. We think that everybody agrees with Rav Huna. Aliba de Rav Chisda kule alma lo pligay, ki pligay aliba de Rav Huna, Rav Nachman כרב הונא ורבא, עד כאן לא כאמר רב הונא, אלא לעדות אחרת, אבל לאותה עדות לא. Says the Gemara, the truth is that both Rav Nachman and Rava think like Rav Huna. So why are they still cholkim? Because Rav Nachman went to the extent to say that even in the same discussion, we sever the edut and we accept one part and we don't take the other part. And Rav Huna only spoke about these people going to a different area, different eduts. So Rav Nachman is even more radical than that, than the Rav Huna that we see. And it could be that Rava says, okay, I'm accepting Rav Huna, I'm just not taking it to the extreme that Rav Nachman is taking it. So again, we really need to understand Rav Huna well, because it seems that according to the Gemara and according to the Psika, he's the main voice. And I think the explanation of the Rashbam leaves us still a little shaken with understanding Rav Huna. So what we're going to try to do is to try to focus and see if we can get more Rishonim to explain to us what is behind Rav Huna's thinking. So let's sum up again. Rashbam said that Rav Huna thinks that they have chazkat kashrut, and this is not enough to take them away from the chazaka. Rabbeinu Gershom, which is also on the daf, you can see him on the side, is the Rav of Rashi, has a slightly different explanation that might help us. Okay, so he first explains Rav Huna, and if you'll notice, when he's explaining Rav Huna, he does not talk about chazaka at all. Let's read Rabbeinu Gershom. אמר רב הונא, אבל גם דבי העדות מוכחשת, בעדות מוכחשות הן, זו באה בפני עצמה בעדות אחרת ומעידה וקשרה, משום דלא ידע איזה כת משקרה, ולהכי עידה כת נמי באה בפני עצמה ומעידה וקשרה. אבל תרווי וכחד לא מצא למייטי, משום דאיקה למימר דחד המינאי ומוכחשתי. So Rabbeinu Gershom explained Rav Huna without using chazakot at all. Where did the chazakah disappear to? Okay, let's continue and see that Dafka, the one who's using chazakah, is Rav Chisda here. Rav Chisda אמר ב-87 שקרא למה לי, הועיד להתכחשנה אחד המינאי בחזקת מוכחשים נמהו תרוויו, ולא מצא לעשות אינם מבדות אחרת, וממה נפשה אחד המינאי פסולה. According to Rabbeinu Gershom, Dafka, Rav Chisda is talking about chazakah. This situation of a sefek creates a new chazakah, chazkat mukcheshet. Okay, so what did the Rabbeinu Gershom do is he took away the using of chazakot from Rav Huna and placed it on Rav Chisda. How does that help us? So here I found an interesting source who the Rav Shalhevet helped me. He has Rishimot Shurim and Shwartz, which is the sugya makbila. And he points out that Shita Mekubetet in Masechet Ketubot has a Ramban that I think can help us understand Rabbeinu Gershom better. Okay, Ramban is trying to explain to us why the story here is not chizkat kashrut. Even if they don't have chizkat kashrut, still this is not enough to be posel them. And he adds more information than what Rabbeinu Gershom added. So let's look at the Ramban there in Shita Mekubetet, Ketubot Chaf Aleph. Says the Ramban, דשני התם, כיוון שבעוד זו אחר זו, אמרינן, זוהי דקשרה, ודמי לבאו להישאל זה אחר זה, דאמרינן לעניין טומאה ששניהם טהורים. So first of all, the Ramban says, you should know that what we're seeing here is not chazakah. You're seeing a different mechanism here. It's called amrinan. Okay? Talinan, he will say later. And he says, we also know this from other areas in Shas, and he quotes a very famous sugya, very sophisticated sugya of Tum'ah. Shnei shvilim. We have sugya that says that there are two roads. One of them is tameh, we don't know which one. And then we have people who walked in one road and they come to Chachamim and say, we walk down this road, we just don't know which one is tameh. So Chachamim say, okay, it's a sefek, you're tahor. And then you have another couple who walked on the other road and they come to Chachamim and they ask the same question. And the Chachamim say, you're also tahor. What's going on here? They can't both of them be tahor. One of them is vaday tameh, but each one of them, we're saying, okay, you're a safek, you're tahor. You're a safek, you're tahor. So says the Ramban, this is very similar. In what sense? Continues the Ramban and gives here a svara, which is very specific to this situation and not to the story of the two shvilim. Says the Ramban, there it's tuma. You can do these things. Here it's to take away money. You have to add something to this. This is not enough. כיוון שבאים בזה אחר זה כשרים, שאין הכחשתם פסול ברור. שאפילו באותה עדות כמה נדנית התכחש באכילה דאבתן עמי התכחש. Says the Ramban, listen, we just learned Rav Nachman. We saw that Rav Nachman thinks that in the same edut itself, you can separate it into two pieces. So it sounds that it's not only that we're saying that maybe there's a sefek and we're doing a halachic trick of a chazakah. No, it sounds that hakchasha is not a psul baru. What does this mean? Rav Soloveitchik quotes this Ramban, and that's where I found him, and he explains the Ramban in an interesting way. Let's see what he says. First, he quotes the Ramban, and he continues and says, ונראה שרוצה לומר שאין הכת השנייה מעידה כלל הפסול הכת הראשונה, שהרי אפשר שהכת הראשונה העידה לשקר בטעות, ולא בזדון, ואינם רשעים כלל. Says Rav Soloveitchik, when you have contradicting stories, it may be that somebody here just made a mistake. It's not that he was Ed Sheker, that he came to say on purpose something wrong that he couldn't say, which is in Eidim Zomemim. Here, it can really be a mistake in reality. And I'll add to what he's saying. Let's go back to our sugya. You have here people who are saying that I sat in a land for 3 years, and then people are saying that you sat in a land for 3 years. How could that be? Is it really sure that one of them is lying? Maybe I came there 2 days a week, each week, and they saw me there because that was the day that they were working in their field. And the other couple saw you on different days of the week. Maybe we were really not meeting. Maybe they saw me in this side of the land. They saw you in the other side of the land. It definitely can be in the same reality that they saw two parts of reality. And maybe even they made a mistake. So that's what Rav Soloveitchik offers. And he continues, it says, אף שאפשרות זו רחוקה היא, בית דין בדרך כלל אינם תולים מעדת העדים בשגיאה ובטעות. עם כל זו, מאחר שאפשרות כזו קיימת, במקום ספק דתרי כנגד דתרי תולים בחזקת כשרות, ואומרים שכשרים הם ולא העידו לשקר במזיד. Says Rav Soloveitchik, the chance that there is a mistake here is a long shot. Probably it's rare. It's very, very rare. And usually Chachamim don't even listen to such rarities because there is a conflict here in a stira. Chachamim look at this option, and that is the option that allows them to continue thinking that these eidim are kosher. Why are we keeping these eidim under chazakah? It's not something that is totally not based on anything. It's because here we didn't have enough to 100% destroy your quality as eidim, because maybe it was a mistake. En akashatan psul baru. So what Rav Soloveitchik does, he actually connects between Rabbeinu Gershom and the Rashbam, because he says, okay, what happens here? When they're contradicting now, there's a sefek here, and I can't do anything. If two people were walking at the same time in the two roads, I couldn't make both of them tahor. Somebody would be, they're both sefek tameh. So in this situation of the contradiction, I can't use them. But the minute I'm in a different area, the contradiction is not in front of me, I can do tolim. I could say there's a far-fetched option that it has been a mistake. Nobody really proved that somebody here was a liar. Maybe it was just a mistake. I don't have the situation of the sefekot in front of me, so I am assuming that you're still kasher. After we saw this, maybe we can see another Rishon that explains to us, according to this, Rav Chisda in a different light, and that's the Ritva. The Ritva in Masechet Shvuot says, Rav Huna סבר, דכיוון דלא ילמד בינה ושקרנית, כל אחד ואחד המוקמינן בחזקת כשרה. So the Ritva goes back to the words of the Rashbam, and now we understand it better. We're keeping them in chazakot kashrut because the sefek is not in front of us, and we're doing tolim. And Rav Chisda אמר, בהדה סעדה שקרי למה לי? והי לשנמש בה דרב חיסדא בדרך חומרה אמר לה, לבאר עדות שקר מן העולם, דכיוון דעדינן ודאי דאחד מנה ושקרנית, למה לנו לקבל מהם שום עדות? Says the Ritva, here I'm cholek on other people, because I don't think that Rav Chisda is cholek on Din Torah. I think Rav Chisda is actually agreeing with Rav Huna. It's agreeing with his Savara. But Rav Chisda says it doesn't look good. And says the Ritva, read the music of Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda didn't say, I'm cholek. He said, with these edut sheker, these eidim which are lying, why should I touch their edus? This sounds like a chumrah, says the Ritva. B'derech chumrah ke'amar la. Rav Chisda says, this looks bad, and we want people to know that we do not use anything that even smells of chashash sheker. And that's why we're not accepting them for anything. That's what Rav Chisda says. And Rav Huna is cholek and saying, no, listen, we're judges. We're going according to the rules. Now, it might be that people from the outside don't really understand these rules because they're really, they're tricky. But still, we won't be machmir here. Din Torah is that it's not enough to prove that these people are wrong because nothing was actually said about them. And it might have also been a mistake. Again, I'm adding here what we saw in Rav Soloveitchik inside the Ritva. But here we see that Rav Chisda agrees with Rav Huna as well. So let's sum up what we saw. Rashbam and Rabbeinu Gershom talked about Rav Huna and Rav Chisda as cholkim and chazakot. So it's machloket d'oraisa. The Ritva said, no, you should know that both of them agree in d'oraisa. Rav Chisda only thinks it doesn't look good. It's only a din d'Rabbanan. And what we try to understand, according to all of them, is what does Rav Huna think? Because Rashbam said that we put Rav Huna, we put the eidim under chazaka. And we asked, what's this? It's like something very, something halachic that we don't understand. And when we saw Rabbeinu Gershom, he didn't even talk about chazaka when he was explaining Rav Huna. And then when we saw the Ramban added and didn't talk about chazaka. He said, listen, Edut Makreshet is not a strong enough proof that they're lying. It's not strong enough. And Rav Soloveitchik tried to explain why isn't it strong enough, and he said that there is a chance that there was a mistake because they're talking about reality, and people see reality different. It might have been a mistake. Now, usually, they don't take that into consideration. Here they do. Here they do, and that's what helps us assume that these people are still ksherim, and not accepting them to be pasul or sefek pasul, and Rav Soloveitchik connects between Rabbeinu Gershom and the Rashbam. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, I think the sugya really opens up our minds to thinking what happens when people are contradicting on reality. And what we saw here is that according to the Ramban, the way that Rav Soloveitchik explained, is that contradiction on reality might be a mistake. And sometimes we take that into consideration when we're not sure if there is a liar here. It's not only that we know for sure that there is a liar. We don't really know for sure in the first place. Usually we don't take that into account, but here we do because the situation is so unclear. Suddenly this truth that we don't really know if there's a liar here comes up to surface. So again, this was one option in the sugya. The sugya really calls, look at it from different directions. There's a lot of material in it. And I'm blessing you, Bezrat Hashem. May you have the time and the koach to learn more in these sugyot of edut. There's a lot to think here. and thoughts which are mind-opening and compelling. So I hope you enjoyed today and you continue enjoying this parak, and Bezrat Hashem will learn more soon. Take care.